Yesterday we started the sugya of Matana Almanos Lahachzir. I gave you the main Shittas Rishonim. Yes? The Gemara says if you give a woman Kiddushin on the basis of Matana Almanos Lahachzir, it's not Kiddushin. Machlokes Rishonim, Tosfos and the Rosh, and it's also the Rashba and others who say the following, that the reason it isn't good is because really Minat Torah, it would be good Kiddushin, because Matana Almanos Lahachzir is a Matana, it has the din of a Matana. But it's not going to work with Kiddushin, so Tosfos and the Rosh seem to understand, it's also quite strongly mashma from Rashi, Rab Haigon has a certain girsa in Rashi, it appears to work as follows. In essence, it should work. Matana Almanos Lahachzir is a Matana, but because of its similarity to Chalipin, about which we say that a woman is not Gomaru Makna Nafshei for Chalipin, because Chalipin can be done with Pachos Mishava Pruta. So given that it looks similar, Yomru, people will say that it looks, that the similarity is too much, and we're worried people will come to the mistaken conclusion that Chalipin is also a valid form of Kiddushin, and therefore Chachomim invoke their special powers, which are, what are they called? The special powers they have in this area. Write it down, you need to know it. Afke'inu, Rabbana l'Kiddushin minei. Afke'inu means literally they uproot. There's a better word, probably abrogate. In good, probably good legal English. Probably better, but it
like the thing that they
to cancel.
The thing that they
cancel culture, yeah.
The thing that they mainly helped or instituted.
It was done al das because it was done kadas Moshe Yisrael. Therefore, we arrogate to them or derogate, whatever, to them the power of the authority, and therefore they utilize it. They have the capacity to use it, like to utilize it, because it's kadas Moshe Yisrael. And therefore, afkeinu rabban l'kiddushin minei, and therefore eina mekudeshes. Eina mekudeshes. Now, the question we're going to need to look at, which is somewhat of a machlokes, which is, okay, Eina mekudeshes, do you need to get me sofik at least? Or is it absolutely no Kiddushin at all? Question mark, park that, we're going to deal with that. Yes, Daniel.
And that's how they learn Kiddushin, Gimel, Amot Awel, where they think
that's
Gimel
Chalipin, that's Chalipin. No, Gimel Amdav is a Lamute Chalipin. We then come to Mekadesh for Milva and Matam is Davov, as I said to you yesterday. That's Davov Amud base. I did say it clearly. Go back over the tape and listen.
I know, but the Tosfos and the Rosh
are in Davov, where we discuss Matan Almanos Lahachzir. Okay? Good. Now, that is the opinion of the, as I said, Tosfos and the Rosh and other Rishonim. The Rambam, and possibly others, I'll read you the Lashon Rambam. The Lashon Rambam is Harei loy nehenis v'loy higia liyoda klum. You hear the Lashon Rambam? The Lashon Rambam is, do you know why Mekadesh with Matana Almanos Lahachzir is no good? Because Harei loy nehenis. Interesting Lashon. She does not receive Hana'ah. And nothing came to her. The Avnei Miluim and the Or Sameach learn that this is a din miyuchad b'kiddushin. It's a special halacha by kiddushin. That not only do we need a kinyan kesef, you need something more than that. You need a kinyan kesef that she has a hana'ah from it, because of its similarity to Chalipin. And here's where the Rambam will understand that the comparison to Kiddushin, to Chalipin, that Rav Ashi makes is an absolute one. That in the same way that it is a Gnai Hula, to be makna herself for Kesef, for something which has the potential of being less than a Shabbat Pruta, similarly, a woman will not be makna herself for Ishus, for Kesef that ultimately goes back. And therefore she's not neheneh from this kesef. And there's a gzeirus hakosuv. It's a gzeirus hakosuv. It's a din miyuchad in kiddushin, and the lamdus is much deeper. There's if you're interested, have a look in Birchas Shmuel. Baruch Ber quotes a Reb Chaim, and he has a slightly different view. But this is the Avnei Miluim and the Or Samech's understanding of the Rambam, that there's a special halacha that applies to Kiddushin only. Any other scenarios which involve a kinyan, it's absolutely fine for, as we shall see. We're going to talk about Esrog soon. And it's a din miyuchad in Kiddushin. What is it? That she needs to have kesef, that she has hanoah from it. And therefore, hence the Lashon Rambam, harei lo nehenis. She doesn't have hanoah. Why? Because ultimately it needs to be returned. These are the two main shittas harishonim. And the question we're going to need to ask ourselves is, the Shulchan Aruch, which one is he going with? Yes?
So I don't understand this hanoah thing, because that she needs to have hanoah from the kesef. Because one thing we established, if it's Adam Choshev, she doesn't have any hanoah from the kesef, because she's giving the hanoah, the kesef.
She gets hanoah, which is a hanoah which it comes via the giving of the kesef, but it is a hanoah which then remains with her forever. It will be forever framed on her wall, the fellow receiving it. That is something that remains. Here, whatever is given comes straight back. Nothing remains. It's gone. Nothing remains. Whereas the monetary value, or the monetary value which is generated by the Adam Choshev receiving it, is one that is, it's real. It's not artificial. It stays with her forever. It has the monetary value of a Shabbat Pruta, and we're good. We're done. We've got Kesef and Hanoah. Absolutely. Bahahi Hanoah, says the Gemara. How does it work? Adam Choshev, the Lashon Gemara is Bahahi Hanoah. There's a Hanoah. Whereas here, hence the Lashon Rambam, Harei lo nehenis. There's no Hanoah. There's no Hanoah. V'lo yigia liyod ha'kulam. Al kol panim. Okay. So far, so good.
So the Rambam would say either it is not Sheva Puta and doesn't work, or it's like it can be 1,000.
It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's a joke. It's a genai, and therefore she ends up with nothing. Those are the two primary shittas in the Rishonim, and we need to think when we learn the Mechaber. Let's just read the Mechaber again. We did read the Mechaber. Ha'omer Chavtesi V'Alaf. Ha'omer le'isha ariyat mekudeshes li bedina zu almanos shetachzireu li eina mekudeshes. Now the Mechaber, she's not mekudesh. The Rambam, the Mechaber doesn't really give away a lot, does he? Mechaber, theoretically, I mean, that's a Gemara. Right, we know that's the halacha. So on the basis of the Mechaber alone, I don't think we would necessarily be able to intuit whether this is whether he's going really with the Rambam or with the other Rishonim. And you might ask me what on Afkaminas. We're gonna come to that. There's no going here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I do want to spend maybe 2 or 3 sessions on this sugya, because first of all, because it's awesome. It's just geschmack. It's really, and it's one of the classic issues of sugyas, and it says a lot. It will enhance your repertoire in a number of different areas, and also because it can have real consequences. Okay, so the way I'd like to frame this, I was thinking about how to do this, and because we are meant to be doing halach l'maisa, guys, yeah, all good, okay. It throws me off. If that's okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good. We need to focus. It's like davening, right? We're focusing. Nothing else. Good. So let's do it in the form of a real shaila. A real shaila. I have a number of Sfarim at home from the following. I've never met him, but Rabbi Leo Schlesinger is Rav Shchuna in Gilo, and Mekar Chaim, Mechaber Sefer, many Sfarim. I've got at least, I think, 3 of his different Sfarim at home. Eile Hadvarim. He's got one Moyadei Kodchecha, and he's a prolific. He's a prolific writer. He seems to be a posik, a rav here, and he has an article in Yarchon Moria. So Yarchon, afterwards I'll print it out and give it to you. But here's the shaila. I'll read you the shaila because it opens up the sugya for us very nicely, and I think it's just a nice way to frame it instead of it just being purely in the realm of the theoretical and the abstract. Masa osa lekamon lifnei shonim rabos b'chosan b'leil chupasai. So you're a Masada Kiddushin, okay? Asher gilo shelo yehevies tabas hanisuin shelo le'ulam. He forgot the ring at home. Right, so we've spoken in previous show, we spoke about what happens if somebody forgot to do the ring bit altogether. Yeah, but this is different. He left the ring at home. He left the ring at home. Va'ani hitakashti, says Rav Schlesinger. I was stubborn. I was obstinate. Hitakashti sheyisu lebeis Yerushalayim v'yavis atabas v'namtin ad shetagia. We wait. No problem. Okay, it's I'll never forget my first chasna that I was involved with in Eretz Yisrael, of course, being going as a bocher, but when the first one I was Masada Kiddushin many years ago in Eretz Yisrael, which by the way, in order to be Masada Kiddushin, they had to, although because my smicha was through London based in, through Dain Ehrentreu, and when I was going to be Masada Kiddushin in Eretz Yisrael, so I got Dan Gelly called me and said, he's had a question from the Rabbanot. Who's this guy? What on what basis is he able to be Masada Kiddushin in Eretz Yisrael? So I already was a rather many years in England, and he said, but we've got to do this properly. I hope you don't mind. You can come into the base and I'll fair you on Hilchos Kiddushin. I said, of course, with pleasure. And so I did a good chazara, because it says, Kol mi she'eini yodea b'tiv gitin Kiddushin lo yehi lechelek imoim. If you don't know what you're doing. And there's remind me another time to show you the comments from Rav Ezra Batzri in Dinei Ishus, where he really lets it rip against, as he called, Rabbonim v'chatzi Rav. And anybody's got a nice voice, he says, all of a sudden becomes a Masada Kiddushin. Oy la oznayim shekach sheimois. It's not a joke, and that's one of the things that we're doing here, so that somebody who doesn't know. Some Rabbonim are very makbid, even they don't let Rosh Hashivas being Masada Kiddushin. Just because you're a Rosh Hashiva and you might know all the Lamdas does not necessarily mean, depends, Gedolim, does not necessarily mean you've sat through Even Ezra properly, and just because you've given some shiurim on Hamakadosh B'milva doesn't mean that it's halacha l'maisa. That's another story. Al kol ponim, so I had a faherni, I still have it. I have a tu'udah from him to say that I could be Masada Kiddushin, which is acceptable by the Rabbanot in Israel. Anyway, so, it's a bit lahavdil, if I may say such a thing. Don't take this the wrong way, but it's a little bit like birth. I'll explain what I mean by that. It's not, my wife is a doula, which means that she trained to be, there's labour support. Trained in England to do it, and did it many times in England. Here, for some reason, doesn't seem to be doing it very much, but okay. Either way. Why is that important? Because birth is, on the one hand, it's miraculous, but it's a natural process, and 99% of times everything goes fine. But if things go wrong, chas v'shalom, it's very fast moving, and it can easily result in disaster. Without going into detail. And that's why, when you're dealing in a hospital where, with the best will in the world, the nurses are busy, the midwives are busy, maybe, and they're running from one to another, and there's somebody who's with experience that is there and can see what's going on and can help and call help when it's needed, and they train also, if necessary, getting the cord from around the neck, blah blah blah. So lahavdil. Most times it's simple, it's easy, but things can go wrong. Same with Siddur Kiddushin. 99 times, once you got it, it'll be. Most times, under your watchful eye, it will go well. But there can and will be occasions when things can go a little bit, and then you need to know. And it's on the spot. You can't start looking up the books, right? So it's really important to have a good sense. They say, I read from I've got a sefer from Siddur Kiddushin from a Talmud of Rabbi Elyashiv, and he said that although you can imagine what Rabbi Elyashiv, halavai, I should know what Rabbi Elyashiv forgot about. Actually not, because he didn't forget, probably. But you can imagine, after having done Siddur Kiddushin, being the great goyim that he was, even in his very, very advanced age when he was Masada Kiddushin, whenever he went anywhere, he was constantly peppered by Talmidei Chachamim, asking him questions the whole time. But when it came to the Siddur Kiddushin, he didn't look, he watched with an eagle eye over everything that was happening, even though he could do it in his sleep, and think it was. It's an important achrais. I'll call upon him. Here's a case. This is what happened. So what happened was, he's left the ring at home. So Rabbi Schlesinger said, I said, we'll wait. I know how I got to this. I said, the first time I was in Masada Kiddushin, I was there with my, how you had spare copies and everything. I'm there with it. I get to the hall. I thought maybe I'd come to the wrong place. With 2 or 3 Arabs smoking in the corner. And there was nothing to be seen. I said, here, It was the time, it was half an hour before the chuppah was meant to be. They hadn't even begun to think about possibly erecting the chuppah. At the moment the chuppah was meant to be, one of them, nudged the other and said, maybe we should, maybe put up the chuppah. Not that I speak Arabic, I imagine that's what he was saying. And then slowly, and then 2 hours later, the stuff happened. But anyway, so in Eretz Yisrael, time is very elastic. So Reb Shlomo Zalman although his time was absolutely golden, he would be makpid always to be on time, even though his Talmidim said to him, Rebbe, it's never on time. You know it's not going to be on time, and he never wasted a minute. He said, so I'll go there and I'll stop and I'll think and learning. But imagine for the Baal Simcha's there and he sees the Masada Kiddushin isn't he's coming late. Is he coming? Did he remember? I don't need to cause him any extra tzar on that day. Go in and midas. Anyway, enough of a hakdama. Let's get to it. So he says Rabbi Eliyahu Schlesinger. So I said that we're going to wait. We'll wait. What happened in the end? Uba hadoda shela. And the aunt, the doda, came along. So she took off her own ring. And she said, I will give you the chosen, my ring. I'll give you my ring. I will give you the chosen, my ring, and then whenever we get home tomorrow, whenever it is, then give her your ring, the ring that you bought for her, and then give me back my ring. Klomar, kach es hatabas sheli b'matona al manos la'achzir u'tekadesh boy es ha'isha. But when you're mekadesh her, you're not mekadesh her as a matona al manos la'achzir. You're mekadesh her with this ring. I'm giving you the Matan Manos Lachzir. So we have here in Chof Tesifal, if we know you can't be Mekadesh and Isha for Matan Manos Lachzir. But what about, so here's the Shaila, this is what the Tshuva is about, this is one of the things we're going to look into. Hinei, Ha'isha ina Mekudeshes b'Matan Manos Lachzir kemevu b'Gemara Kiddushin. De'inei shemas Kadeshes b'Chalipin. Ulam b'Gemara lo nizbayrim achosen yochel kadsha b'tabas shehu atzmei kibel mimandu b'Matan Manos Lachzir. Can the chosen be Mekadesh her with a ring that he received from Matan Manos Lachzir? Das steht nicht in Gemara, das steht nicht hier. What do you think, Rabbi Isai?
But the question is if the status of the Manos Lachzir is, so to speak, carrying over into...
You're going to have to do more than that. Yeah.
Right, but
he's Mekadesh her outright. Right. What do you think? What would be your gut? What would be your gut?
Still the same ring, though, which has the Manos Lachzir still in the plan. Meaning in the future, this ring is designated to be going back to this Doda.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm going to keep quiet. I'll let you guys argue it out.
So let's just say, let's make it simple. If he steals the ring, and right now he would steal the ring, and now it's his ring. He stole it. It's here in Kenyan stolen. He stole it.
Mitzvah with the stolen object.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we missed out Siman Chof Ches, which is Hamakadosh Begezel, and
so I think that's one point. If Chuppah was Gezel work, then this will definitely work. However, I think
he's right. The halacha is, just quickly, I'm just supporting you. Chof Ches Sif Aleph. If you're Makadosh Begezel after years and there's been Kinyonik Gezela, how is it Mekudeshes? It works.
It's good to know.
So I think...
don't get any big ideas. I'll tell Nelly.
So I think if Gezel works...
we don't want any police under my chuppah, sorry. No.
Probably for various other reasons.
Very good. Go on.
So I think if Gezel works, Kavachama, this works.
Okay.
Because the relationship between him and her is it's a stolen object, but it's the same, imagine she says, I don't want to give back this ring. Yes, I'm not giving back this ring. Yes, again, and he stole a thing from he didn't fulfill the promise of Manas Lachzir.
So in the end, if the problem falls on him, then it doesn't influence.
Yes, I think it's just the same as the stolen ring.
Okay, Kobe, what do you think?
Yeah, she gave it to him and said, it's yours, do Kiddushin.
But she does want it back.
Yeah.
Once he goes home and finds it. So it is matana. So it is a matana. He gets a matana Manos Lachzir.
Yes, but the moment of Kiddushin, it's fully his. It's there.
Okay, very good. Now what? Okay, what happens if the okay, that makes sense. I hear that svara.
Will we also say that he doesn't get neheneh, but he has the ownership? Meaning, The thing is, we said before that she needs to have not only
That's for the woman. That's for the woman. She needs.
So there's a different criteria for him and for her because he's doing. I'm saying she needs two things. She needs the thing. According to the opinion which says she doesn't get nehene from the gift almanas lahasir, right? So that's the criteria according to Rambam that she's not.
Correct.
If he doesn't get nehene, that's not a problem because he's not the one who's getting the kaddish.
Correct.
So according to that, we would say, okay, he can just take something which gives him some kind of ownership, and then give nehene to her by really giving it not as almanah.
But you do know that the next day or 2 days later, he is going to.
Okay.
His matana, his ownership of that item is limited for a day, 2 days, 3 days.
Right.
So that means, and therefore, consequently, her. I can only give what I've got.
Right.
So therefore, I'm not sure. Are you arguing that it should or shouldn't work?
I asked the question before that. So I'm trying to. Right.
Okay. So let's see.
That was the other part of the question.
Okay.
It transfers over to her.
Okay. Right. Let's see. Chevra, look in your. Go back. Siman Chof Ches. Seif Chof. You don't have it because you didn't photocopy it. That's why it's always ideal to have a seif. Look, go back. Siman Chof Ches. There's another one. There you go. Siman Chof Ches. Seif Chof. No, you went ahead. Go back. Siman Chof Ches.
Yeah.
Chof Ches. Seif Chof.
Yeah.
Oh, got it? Good.
Yeah.
Good. Sorry, I thought you were going forward.
No.
Sorry. Kobe, got it? Yeah. Who wants to read it? Kobe, go for it. What do you see? There's the halacha. That's the case. So, it's clear, mufurish. It would appear that in the case of the auntie, harizum kudeshes. Now, whether you should or shouldn't have done it lechatchila is perhaps a different story, but it would appear to work. Now, here is where the fun starts. And we need to ask ourselves the following question. I now have 2 psokim in Shulchan Aruch. I have Chof Ches, Seif Chof, that if the man receives a matana almanos lahachzir, and then takes this item and is mekadosh and isha with it, it works. On the other hand, if you go to a woman and say, I am giving you a matana almanos lahachzir, but the matana almanos, you give it back to me, it doesn't work. We need to be able, it's not so simple to be able to distinguish between the two. Not so simple. I'm just throwing it out there.
But if we go according to not the Russian persons,
Yeah.
right? Then we would say the reason they postulate the reason for it is that if you give it in the chuppah, it looks like because he's doing it on the house. But in this case, he's not doing it.
Okay, very nice. That might work. That might be a way around it. Very nice. That's one possibility. Okay, so this is what we're going to explore. All right. Having said that, we are now going to learn one of the very classic pieces of K'tzai. Okay, Reish Mem Aleph, Seif Dalet. So look in the. You got in the middle here. You have Shulchan Aruch, Seif Vav. Bottom line, got it?
Yeah.
Says Paskin's the Shulchan Aruch. So just to be clear, just to give you some context here, we are in Choshen Mishpat. Choshen Mishpat, Hilchos Matana. What? No, that's this. Other page, turn it around. I think. Sivav, bottom line.
Yes.
Yes, good. So we are in Hilchos. We're in Choshen Mishpat, Hilchos Matana. Paskin's the Mechaber. Hanoisein Matana Almanos Lahachzir. Somebody gives somebody else a matana almanos lahachzir. Bein miyad, bein lizman kotzuv. Whether he gives it for that you must return it to me immediately, or you can have it, you can keep it for 30 days and then give it back to me. Or I'll give it to you for your lifetime and then it comes back to me. Have matana lizman hakotzuv bein bekarka bein metaltlin. It is a matana for the allocated for the period that was specified. Whether we're talking about karka metaltlin va'ochel hapeiros, you can eat the peiros until that time, as long as you give it back. Avalim eino machziro nizbat lo hamatana. If you don't give it back, you're not mekayem the t'nai, the condition, then nizbat lo hamatana, then it was never a matana in the first place. Okay? Okay.
And that's the Gezel case.
Hagar, says the Ramah, Loi kotzav lo zman lahachzir, what would be if he did not specify a time, an amount of time in which, by which or when which you have to give it back, yochol hamakabel lahachzir like sheyirtze, then you can return it whenever you want. If it's something that the giver it's something that he needs, for example, it's an esrog in the Yimei HaChag, so because Va'aman he says, Al Manos Shetachzirehu Li, on the understanding that you give it back to me, but did not specify, then the implication is it's Sukkot, right? After Sukkot, the only thing it's good for is jam. Yeah. So if I give you an esrog on Sukkot and I say, here I give you my esrog as a matana al manos lahachzir, it is self-evident because of the situation, because of the context, that I need it back during Sukkot. So you have to give it back immediately. Okay. If he says al manos shetachzireu li, al tachzireu doesn't say li, then you can give it back when you want. Okay. Let's start there. That's the Mechaber and the Ramah. Okay. Let's learn the Ketzos. Zog the Ketzos. Where's it gone? Sivkot and Dalet. Okay, you ready?
I thought lahachzir for Sukkot doesn't work.
Let's see. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see.
Because
Who said it doesn't work?
no, I would.
It does work. Of course it works.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay. Never mind.
Okay, it does. Of course it works. Matana al-Manos lahachzir is a matana, except for Kiddushin.
But
That was the
okay,
maskana.
but the esrog, if
Yeah.
if you don't give it back, the matana status is
Well, so give it back. So give it back.
right. Okay, but then
So give it back.
But then there's the possibility to batul the mitzvah.
There's always a possibility. So what? The question is, if I do give it back, did it work? Is it lochem? The Gemara says yes, it is. We need to explore that further.
Yeah.
You're right to question how that works and what is the extent of your ownership. You are familiar. I just want to I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of having an item, a guf and peiros. There is an item where this is something that's relevant for hekdesh and for many other things, where there is an item, the item itself, and then peiros, interest or income that can be generated. So if it's a tree, it's very simple, literally peiros, right? Fruit, right? Can you have a kinyan haguf lepeiros? So you need to know this terminology, okay? Keeping that in mind, let's start learning the Ketzos now. Says the Ketzos, so at the top of the page where it says Dalet on the top right-hand side, yes? Hanoisen matona al manos lahachzir kosav rosh. Zog de Ketzos, he quotes a Rosh in Periklul of Agosel gaba esrog matona al manos lahachzir v'zel sheinai. Says the Rosh, v'tzarich sheyitneu lo b'matona gemura al manos sheyachazir v'achar sheyotza boy tzarich lachzir v'litnoi lo b'matona b'shas chazara. Says the Rosh, matona al manos lahachzir with an esrog absolutely works. But you need to give it, you need to actually physically return it and be makna it back when you return it. Aval im omar loy, what would be if he said, Yehei b'matona ad sheteitze boy? What was if the fellow said to him, look, you can take my esrog, it'll be as a matona until the moment in time that you have been yotze the mitzvah with it. And then it will be mine as it was. Listen to the lashon. So I give you the esrog and I say, here's my esrog. I give it to you as a gift until to enable you to be yotze your mitzvah, because I know it needs to be lachem. I'll give it to you as a gift. So it's yours. And once you've been yotze, it will automatically be mine.
That's bad for the guy who takes it, no?
So what's the halacha? Does it work? Let's have a look. Says the Rosh. You are not yotza. To have a kamei because I've lent it to you. Oh, that's what I've done. I've lent it to you for the purposes of being yotza, even though I use the language of matana. That doesn't matter. And then he brings a raya. Says the Rosh, a raya. The Gemara says as follows: Be very careful. Don't give your cot on your child, or anybody's child for that matter, a kid under the age of bar mitzvah. Don't gift them your lulav and esrog on the first day of Sukkot. or on Yom Tov when it's D'oraisa, because a cotton has the capacity, has the agency, the das, to be koina, but can't be makne. They can acquire, but they cannot gift back. A cotton can be koina something, but it can't be makne. And therefore you're going to be stuck, says this is a Gemara. Don't be makne your lulav to a kid b'yom tova on Yom Tov diyenuka miknekoni, because the kid can be koina, but aknuya lo makna, but he can't be makne back. Vim einoi tzarich lachzor. Oh, says the Rosh. From here, I have a proof that I am correct. That you need to give back b'matana. It's not good enough, because otherwise he says you have a very, what is the Gemara saying? A kid can't be makne. But if I don't need him to be makne, if I could just say to him, take my lulav and I give it to you b'matana until the moment in time in which you've been yotza, and then it will automatically revert back to me, and then I wouldn't need the cotton to be makne back to me. And from the fact that Gemara says you have no option, you're out of options, you see, says the Rosh, it must be that the way matana al-manos lahachzir must work in order to distinguish it and differentiate it from shoyel, from borrowing, it works as follows. I am makna it to you, you are koina it, and then when you're done, you are makna it back to me. It does not automatically revert back to me. It must be the pshat, says the Rosh. That's how matana al-manos lahachzir works. Because if it didn't work like that, if it just was automatic, then what's the problem? What's the Gemara saying? I've got no problem with the Yanuka. I've got no problem with the kid. The kid can't be makna. Who cares? I don't need him to be makna. All I need to do is say to him, have it b'matana until you're yotza, and then it will automatically revert back to me. Therefore, says the Rosh, araya, that I am right. Okay? Yes. That's the Rosh. Beautiful piece of Rosh. Is it clear? Let's do it inside. Zog the Rosh, v'teida, bring your araya mit omele kamal likne inish lulavali nuka b'yem tov. Di nuka miknekona knule makne v'mein tzarich lachze v'litnoi b'matana. And if there's no requirement to gift it back b'matana, nehi de cotton apare knuyahi. Well, it's true, a cotton can't be makne, but likne lei adshes. All you need to do is be makne to the cotton adshe yotzabai v'lachzabai mimela, and it would automatically come back to the cotton. Elovadai, says the Rosh. And a cotton can't do that. Quod erat demonstrandum, as we say in Yeshiva Shabbat. Yes.
So, Matana Amenach Leharzir, Chuppah, would work in the Jewish Taliban case.
Daniel, I wish I'd understood. You're okay. One second. Chuppah. Who says chuppah is with being makne?
If the Baal wants to
you talk teras kesef or teras chuppah?
no kesef.
Kesef. So what's it? So go on. So what's the?
If she is underage,
but it wasn't. You mean if theoretically there was such a case? Possibly, yes. Okay. Right. I have to work out how your mind works. It's awesome. Okay. Beseda. Fine. V'kachos, that's the Rosh. V'kachos of a Ritva. And the Ritva says the same thing. Kachos of Ritva b'chidushav, perekamo de kiddushin, v'zel shoynoi vayta, umiu matan amnos lachze hakno gemurohi, umomen sheloi, ukshemachzirin lo yakno gemuro boi, kishar haknois ta'alma. The Ritva is in line with the Rosh. Umistabra, shimshivto lebalchoiv. Okay, finished. Next paragraph. Omnom, says the Ktzos, lule divrei horosh v'haritva. He says, if it were not for the fact that the Rosh and the Ritva have spoken, I would view this as working very differently. Yira lefi aniyas daiti, de matonam nos lahazir hu kamashmoi. It is as the words are to be read and understood simply. Ve'ein boi t'nai hakno'o. Matana almanos lahazir. The Ktzos understands the words kipshutoi, not that there's a condition that the condition is that you're going to be maknet back to me. In boy t'nai hakno, elo shenosan loy b'matona eso esrog, ad sheyetza yotza boy, v'hu matona gemura v'chaluta ad azman. It is absolutely 1,000,000% yours. I gift it to you for the purposes of being yotza, your mitzvah of esrog, which needs to be lochem, until such time as you've done so, and that's where my matana ends.
Yeah.
Once you've done it, my matana ends. And if it ends, it reverts back to me. That's it. Umasha Kosovo Rosh, to have a kasha'ul. So the Rosh is saying, well, then that would be then like lending it. He says, that is not a din of shoel, and here he starts bringing a proof which we're not going to go into because it's complex. It's a whole Gemara and Shonim in Bava Basra, and I want to stick to the bit that we want. Okay, and then there's a long k'tzois which we're not going to learn. Talks about the difference between the guf and whether you're shir in the matana. We want to Esther shall shutfin. I need for the purposes of conserving time, we're not going to be able to learn that through the whole k'tzois, but I want to get to the bit which I think is relevant for us. Elo. Go turn over the page till it comes to Elo. Almost the bottom of the right-hand column. Elo. You got it? New paragraph. Elo. Elo. Zog the k'tzois. Elo sheloi motzosi li rav bozeh. So he develops a very clear and sophisticated way of understanding it, that actually it is it's a matana lachalutin in the zman for that time, and when that time is over, it should automatically revert. He said, but he's a bit stuck. He's not a rishon, right? So he says he's got proofs, and it's all very nice, but he has a yiras hakovod, of course, for the rosh and the ritva. He says, Elo. I didn't find a makor that would agree with me. But after searching, and he didn't have Yitzhar Chochma and he didn't have any computers. What searching meant in those days was something very different to what it means today. And he said, eventually I found something. V'hu b'tshuvas harosh, klal amid hey, sif beis, shom kosav tshuvas, and this now is in the yeshivish world, this is very famous. It is Rabbi Avigdor Kohen Tzedek. It's a Kohen Tzedek, Rabbi Avigdor. Rabbi Avigdor Kohen Tzedek, v'zel shoynoi, quoted in the Tshuvas HaRosh. Oisa sheshoninu, says the Tshuvas HaRosh quotes Rabbi Avigdor Kohen Tzedek. Remember, the Rosh himself has already spoken. He said his view. But the Rosh quotes Rabbi Avigdor Kohen Tzedek, who says as follows: V'zel shoynoi, oisa sheshoninu ein odo b'yitzidich v'osu b'yom tevulu lovish shel chaveiroi, afal gav diyohiv lei, even though he gave it to him, befeirush, hanoas shimushai. What does that mean? He gave it to him. It means the hano of using it. Dahainu netilosoi lotzeis boy loy nofik ad demiknayele kinias haguf l'sho'a l'chol apochos. Those are the words to highlight. You do not yotze until you are makne the kinias haguf l'sho'a l'chol apochos. That the very body of the lulav and esrog belongs in absolute terms. It's time limited. It's knias haguf l'sha'a. Hosam tama. That's because there's a special requirement in esrog lulav and esrog chsiv lochem mishel lochem dekinyan haguf mashma, where the word lochem implies that it's not enough just that you have permission to use it, but it has to be actually yours. It's not enough just to have that you're allowed to have the benefit of using it. The Torah says lachem means it has to be absolutely yours. So it's a kinyan aguf l'shah. Freg Rabbi Avigdor Kohen Tzedek v'im toima halei matana almanos lahachzir kinyan peiros ba'alma korelei b'perek yesh noichelin ve'eich nofik bei. The Gemara in Bava Basra calls matana almanos lahachzir. The Gemara calls it kinyan peiros. The Gemara calls it kinyan peiros. Kinyan peiros is not kinyan ha guf. So how can we know? Matana almanos lahachzir works for esrog. How can it work? It's only a kinyan peiros. The Gemara Bava Basra calls that usage a kinyan peiros v'yesh loymar, says Rabbi Avigdor Kohen Tzedek. When it says peiros, it doesn't really mean peiros. The lahachi korele kinyan peiros means why it uses the word kinyan peiros there. It means she'enu yochel la'oichloi. You can't then eat it. That's what it means. It means there are some limitations. There is a shiur, not shin yud ayin vav reish, but shin yud vav reish, which means to retain, a retention of some of the rights of ownership. To retain. Shiur, shin yud vav reish. right?
Which daf is the Gemara?
It says it there. It's there and it's previously. It's there. Doesn't matter. Yes, we'll come to it later. So Yeshlom Delahachi Korele Kinyan Peiros She'ena Yochel La'Oichlai. That's what it means by Kinyan Peiros. It means that you can't eat it. You can't get rid of it. You can't destroy it. Aval mihu Kinyan Haguf L'Sho'o Mikra. But it is a Kinyan Haguf during that 10 minutes, 5 minutes, depends how much carbonas you have when you're shaking. For that time, it is. What are we going to say?
So as long as the apples stay fresh, they are like a goof. And then you eat them, and that's why they call pears.
No.
Baba Basa, we just said that.
It's
not meaning.
It only calls it a Kinyan Peiros because you don't have the right to eat it.
You don't have the right.
That's the point. Nachama. Slow down, guys. Matana Manos Lahachzir works with esrog. On the other hand, we know that it has to be yours.
Yeah.
And the Gemara in Baba Basra calls it Kinyan for Peiros. How can that work? Surely Lachem means you need a Kinyan Aguf.
Yeah.
He says when we use the terminology, then the Gemara in Baba Basra uses the terminology Kinyan Peiros, it means there are some limitations. You can't eat it. Peiros means it's not yours to do whatever you like with it. It means She'ena Yochel La'Oichlai. Sorry. Yeah, it's clearer now?
Yeah. That's
what it means. You can't eat it. But it is a Kinyan Aguf for that time. Ubahachi Sagi, and that's enough for L'kachtem Lachem. I will have to finish this off.
You shouldn't eat the esrog.